don't think I'm going to be making many friends with this one. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about Creeds Royal Oud. So the weather's been pretty chilly recently, so I thought, I don't really have a Creed for the winter, although I do own Silver Mountain water, and I really like Silver Mountain water, and I actually like wearing it in the winter when it's really cold and fresh. But we haven't quite got there yet, and it's just a kind of cold, dank winter at the moment. So I thought I'd look into a Creed that maybe could suit that kind of weather. So I started looking them up. I know generally Creeds are quite fresh and quite light fragrances, but I found Royal Oud, so I thought I'll grab a decant, wear it, see what it's like, see if it's worth a buy. So Creeds Royal Oud came out in 2011, and the notes are lemon, bergamot, pink pepper on the top. I think in the middle is cedar, angelica and galbanum, and in the bottom you've got agarwood or oud and sandalwood and musk, and that's pretty much the note listing right there. Now, when a lot of people might be put off by oud, and this is quite well documented that it's not really a kind of big oudy fragrance. That's obviously, I'm not going to go against that. It's pretty much my experience of it too. It reminds me, the oud in this reminds me a little bit of the oud in Tom Ford Oud Wood, in that it's kind of really soft and in the background, and a little bit fruity, a little bit incensey, and that's kind of it really. There's no kind of barnyard skank, so you don't have to worry about kind of walking around dry heaving or smelling like sheep's arsehole. Like it's pretty clean, so there's no skankiness to it at all. What does it smell like? I'll give it a spray in a minute. I've got it on the late dry down on a strip, and I'll give it a new spray in a second. But I mean, generally, overall speaking, it's a really rich fragrance. It's a really expensive smelling fragrance. It's quite I would say, refined, sort of gentlemanly fragrance, if you like. And this is all sounding good, I suppose. But let's give it a spray, see what it smells like right off the top. I'll kind of walk through what I think of it. In general, I've noticed that off the top, it's obviously really big and fresh. You get a little bit, very much, the citruses have come up first, that kind of freshness, a little bit of pepper, very, very gentle. It's not a spicy pepper, it's quite a fruity, sweet pepper. That generally get a little bit of that kind of oud that I was talking about, like from that sort of reminds me of Tom Ford Oud Wood, with the kind of slightly incensey, fruity kind of oud. Mainly for me, I get galbanum, and that's pretty much all I get. And I just went through and said that it's an expensive smelling fragrance and all that, and it's rich and blah blah blah, but there's a really heavy butt coming, and I'm gonna have to just talk about it now. This fragrance for me does that oud note is incredibly mediocre. It's right down the middle. It's not offensive to anyone, but it's not really doing anything either. And I think that sums up the fragrance from top to bottom. Now, there's a little bit of pepper in there. It's barely noticeable. It's not particularly interesting. It's a bit of freshness in there, but it's not overly fresh. It's not like a huge freshie. There's a little bit of darkness in there with the woods, but it's certainly not dark. And what is in there is just this massive green galbanum sort of galbanum's like a very green musk sort of smell, and that sort of seems like it glues the whole fragrance together, this kind of green musk. And for me, it really dominates everything else, and it's not particularly pleasant. It smells a bit plasticky, a bit sort of cloying, and in a way gets kind of stuck in my throat. I mean, it's not really fair to smell it right up close, but even from back here, all I'm really getting is this galbanum, this kind of cloyy, thick galbanum that's kind of slightly balanced by the freshness of the fragrance. But all of those other notes, like I say, they're straight down the middle. You've got a really boring pepper, a really boring bit of citrus, a really boring bit of green, a really boring bit of oud, and then you've just got this big lump of waxy plastic galbanum just sort of bringing it all together and going like, "Whoa, come and be blended with me." And it's just like kind of gross. And I kind of get it, and it's blended well, and I can see what people like about it, but I can't help feeling that it smells a little bit like expensive body spray. It's a bit alpha as well. It's a bit try hard, I feel. And I tell you what it really reminds me of is I used to work as a graphic designer for a lot of years, and I would go and meet clients and give them consultations and that. And when I was there, they would always meet these guys. They would be wearing like suits, kind of unfashionable briefcases, and they would have business portfolios, and they would be middle-aged, and they would be boring as piss, and they would smell like this fragrance. This would be what they would be wearing. Aspirational, alpha. It's refined and it's gentlemanly in a way, but it's uninteresting, unchallenging. It's not really light and fresh, but it's not really dark and warm and interesting. There's nothing mysterious about it. There's nothing enticing about it. I don't think there's really anything sexy about it. So it smells a bit like an expensive body spray. And yeah, to me it just smells unoriginal. And at the price that it is, I find that a little bit disturbing and a little bit distasteful. I would expect a little bit more artistry, I guess, or I would hope for a little bit more artistry. Like I get that Creed is generally fresh and all of those things that more or less I just spent. That a lot of their scents are down the middle, you know, and that's why they have such great appeal. But you know, one of my favourites from Creed is Silver Mountain Water, and partly that's because it's a bit more interesting. It's certainly more interesting than this. I'm not like down on Creed. I like, I've got green Irish tweed and I wear it, not that much, but it's definitely got its place in my wardrobe. And I wear Silver Mountain Water quite a lot. I really enjoy Silver Mountain Water. I like it. So I'm not like uber down on Creed, but I expected more from this. And I expected more from a house that has the reputation it does. This to me is just mediocrity in almost every way. And like say that oud, no, I obviously I've read other reviews of this and I've watched other reviews of this before I picked up the decant because I wanted to see what it was like. You know, and read the reviews and see the reviews before I picked up the decant to see what it was like rather. And you know, everyone sort of talks about the oud as if it's, you know, they're quite down on it. But I kind of get it, and I actually think that's one of the better notes in this fragrance, in the sense that it's trying to at least, you know, it's got that kind of gentle incense fruitiness that's quite nice actually. You know, it's not going to offend anyone, but at the same time it sort of is something a little bit, I suppose, modern, in a sense that a lot of niches are kind of into their oud and stuff, and it's kind of dipping its toe in that water. But I just can't help but think that it's just mediocre, and that oud is a kind of metaphor for the rest of the fragrance, really, in that it's not really there, it's not really doing anything. It's just a fragrance that smells a bit alpha-y and a bit triad, and that's really disappointing to me. And I've worn it now 2 or 3 days on the trot, and I'm just sick of it, to be honest. I've been wearing it 2 or 3 days to try and give it a chance, and obviously because I knew I was kind of going to make this video of it as well. So I was trying to sort of like give it a break and think, you know, maybe it just comes with a bit of wear, but no, I don't. It's just maybe it's just not my thing. Reminds me a bit of a lot of those kind of blue fragrances that are kind of just blue fragrances, you know. That's maybe being a bit harsh on it, but that's kind of the vibe I get from it, you know. With those kind of blue fragrances, they are, to me, sometimes they're a little bit alpha, a little bit like, hey, I've just been pumping weights at the gym, but now I'm smelling fresh and ready to go, and I'm such a gentleman, and that's kind of the vibe I get from this as well, like a kind of fresh, triad, wannabe, aspirational, just not very interesting, quite unfashionable bloke. I think that's who would wear Royal Oud and quite enjoy it. Like I say, I don't think I'm going to make many friends with this video. So to kind of, you know, raise it up a little bit, I've got the dry down, and this is kind of deep in the dry down, and I actually quite like the dry down. Like, once you get really, really deep into the dry down, I actually don't mind it so much. I think it's quite nice. It gets I mean, it says it's sandalwood at a push. Like, it's a little kind of woody, sandalwoody dry down, but it's not great. But the actual dry down as a whole is quite nice. I think it's the best part of the fragrance. But it's for me, I just don't think it's worth wearing it for 6 hours to get there. In fact, like, now I've done this review, I'm going to wash this off, and I'm probably never going to wear this again. I'm going to be looking to swap this for a different Creed, I think, with someone else on the Facebook group or something, and see if something else takes my fancy, because this one is definitely not doing it for me. So yeah, that's pretty much my kind of review on Creeds Royal Oud. I hope you liked it. Comment, which I'm sure you're going to do. I can hear the Creed boys stampeding now, but you know, whatever. It's just my opinion. Like, subscribe, don't subscribe, whatever, man. Cheers.